All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. As soon as someone jumps in, drop a comment. Let me know the levels are working, stuff like that. Okay, there we go. That's better. It's actually working this time. Give me a second if anyone's out there for me to share this to the Discord so the guys in there know we're doing this live stream. Check the levels on my end. Yup, everything's good. Hey, what's up, G-Man? Give me a second. Let me drop this in the in my Discord so these guys know I'm streaming. All right, that is in there. So I got like an hour. I'm gonna go to a barbecue with my buddies at probably about 2:15 is when I'll get out of here. It's 1:07 right now, so we'll hang out for a little bit. You know, see what we could talk about, see what topics pop up. You know, get into the nitty gritty. I've reviewed some stuff recently. If anyone's has questions about the things I've reviewed, you know, I've reviewed the zoom method, the Radiant Acoustic Clarity 6.2. I compared it to the Bucard E50, that ELAC subwoofer with room correction, the very affordable Emotiva XB1s. I reviewed those recently, as well as how about that Caldera subwoofer for like $200. Really good sounding subwoofer. There was the Vinshine tie hang, my one of my favorite $1,000 speakers, the Dynaudio eMid 20. I've done a lot of good reviews recently, so if there are questions about any of those products or just anything in general, guys, holler. Let me get this chat popped out so I can start answering these questions if there are any. Pop out chat, all right. Let's get that window moved over to my second screen. Let's get the full size on this. Excuse me, guys, sorry. All right, so G-Man says, what's up, brother? Garrett says, I go by G on the Discord. We got double G's in the chat. Hey, what's up, G? Garrett, if I recall correctly, I think you have the Arendelle 1528s, maybe the monitors. I remember someone in the Discord had those. Richard McCoy, what's cooking? What's cooking? I don't know what the weather's like in your guys' area, but it's getting hot here in California. My air conditioner broke again, guys. It broke again. Those of you that have followed me for a long time, you might remember, like almost every year it seems like my AC goes out. It happened again. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. I just got it fixed again. So I'm happy about that. Let me adjust my seat height. Hold up, guys. Get this camera height just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Get your boy in the frame. You know what I'm saying? All right, who's that? Stars. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Stars? Good to see you in the chat. Yeah. Garrett's saying, yeah, he has the Monitor 8s with the Purify. I'm guessing that's one of their amps. 1ET9040. That's a hell of a name. 1ET9040-BA. I'm guessing that's probably one of those like Einstad-based amps they got. John Descent says, Nemo, hope you're well. Yeah, bro, doing well, man. Life is good. You know what I'm saying? I could find something to complain about. I think we all could, but what's the old saying? No one would care, right? No one would care, you know? Actually, funny thing, I saw someone put a comment on one of my Rel subwoofer videos recently, and the guy, he had a fair point. He was like, you know, man, I wish Rel would go manufacturer direct. They're a subwoofer only company. If they just sold manufacturer direct and cut out all the dealers, I think they'd sell more subwoofers and the consumers would get better deals. And I messaged back and I was like, brother, I agree with everything. I wish everything was like that. Like everything. Imagine if you could buy a car manufacturer direct and cut out the middleman. Imagine if you could buy a house manufacturer direct and cut out the, you know, the commissions of the realtors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like when I bought my house, I think my realtor's commission was like $60,000. I literally basically paid $60,000 to my realtor, like as part of my home purchase. Ridiculous. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, again, let me know if you got any questions about anything I've reviewed recently. I just went through the list. There's a ton of stuff on there that I've reviewed: the Dynaudio Emit 20, the Vinshine Kinky Studio tie hang, the Zoom Methods, that Caldera subwoofer. Or I could just sit here and start yapping if no one's got questions. I always got some shit I can yap about. Let me tell you. I'm gonna give you guys like 15 seconds before I go on a monologue. So let's see how many people are in here anyway. 20 people, not bad. That's a pretty quick ramp up to get 20 people. Well, someone in my Discord saying something. Let me see what they're saying. Oh, it's in the video game section. Talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Speaking of video games, if anyone is into video games and you're considering even for a moment playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33, I'm here to tell you it is a 10 out of 10 game. One of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. And as audiophiles, you may wish to know, the sound, the soundtrack, the music is beautiful in this game. I played it up here where I have the Supermon Minis and the Hagel H190 and the Kev KC62. And it was, man, that was such a beautiful experience. What a beautiful world in that video game. Garrett says Zoo DWX versus the 1528s. Bro, that's a crazy, crazy comparison. I know you're just asking for fun, so I'll answer just for fun. So like, if anyone's wondering like what happens when you go from like I think let me check the DWX price. Let's see what those things are at right now. Let me split my screen in half. Let me get a new window open here. Okay. I think the DWXs are like $1,500 or $1,600 now. $1,500. So what happens when you go from $1,500 for a speaker that's already, really giving you a lot for the money at $1,500, right? And you go up to say $4,500, $5,000, right? And you go for another brand that is also giving you a lot for your money, right? Both of these brands are manufactured direct. So they're both going to bang really hard on the value meter. But these are two really different designs when it comes to making speakers. Zoo is taking that traditional approach, that high efficiency. A speaker should be big and things like that, right? And they do a great job. Zoo speakers are so easy to drive. That Zoo Method, I believe, is like 94 dB sensitive. The DWX, I think, is, here, I have it up. I'll just check the spec. Where is it? 95 dB. The Zoo DWX is 11 dB more efficient than the Arundel 1528 bookshelf. So if we're talking about low volume champions, the effortless and unrestrained characters and qualities of a speaker, the Arundel 1528 bookshelf, despite costing, multiples more, is not going to have the same low volume performance as a speaker that's 11 dB more sensitive. Now, we could sit here and absolutely say that 1528 is going to sound more refined no matter what. It's going to give us more detail retrieval, micro detail, more clarity in the leading edges, more nuanced information, and all those things. Yes, it is absolutely going to give us more bass power. You guys know what time it is. Hello. The 1520 low sensitivity speakers are generally bass monsters, not always, but usually, and that 1520, it's going to give us just tremendously, like, just fuller sound, right? Yeah, there's a lot of differences, overall, like total refinement. That's generally something where like the more you spend, the more you get. But the DWX is plenty refined for its price category. It's not an unrefined sound by any means. Some might consider it high end, but I think more people would consider like the 1528 like proper high end, whatever that might mean to you. So yeah, I mean, that was a fun question. I enjoyed answering that. Oh, I'm sore as hell, guys. I just did a bunch of push-ups and skull crushers. Oh my God. I went to put my drink down and my hand kind of like stuttered on the way down because I still have the pump. I just lifted like 20 minutes ago. John saying that I, because of my review of the live DDC, it encouraged him to pull the trigger on the Denafrips Iris, and he's happy with his purchase. Awesome, bro. Awesome. Yeah, DDCs are a real upgrade, and DDCs and power supplies seem to be one of those upgrades that they're all great. Just pick the brand that you happen to like, in the price point you like, and get the power supply upgrade or DDC upgrade that you fancy, and you should experience good sonic improvements. Now, I'm not saying they're all going to sound identical, but I've talked to many people now, DDC or power supply upgrades, and they are always so happy with it. It's just one of those things for how little you spend and what you get. The results are just remarkable. Stars says Expedition 33 is just pure art. Yeah, yeah, it is. Absolutely. That's a little bit of a pun there. For those of you that have not played it, might not know that, but yeah, wow. I cannot say enough about what a beautiful game Expedition 33 was, and the sound design and the voice acting and the characters. It was beautiful. It was an absolutely beautiful and remarkable experience. I got emotional even a few times in the game. I felt the weight of the world, and it was incredible. Sorry, let me just turn this a little bit. I like to be able to see that painting when I live stream. It's one of my favorites. It's by Laura Zombie. What else do we got here? Richard McCoy says, one channel count, ET, Eintac Technology, 90 volt, 40. Oh, BA bridged amplifier. That's what the one ET 9040 BA means, purify naming scheme. I could respect that. I can respect that. There's a method to the madness. That's good. Victor says, hey, pal, thanks again, brother, for taking the time to respond back to me about my inquiry of the DWX and method. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, of course, man. Of course, I love interacting with people in the comments section as long as it's not like the crazy people. Like, dude, guys, I just had a guy comment. You guys, I block so many people a week. This guy just commented, not Victor, someone else, just commented on my review of the LHY power supply for the Blue Sound node. In that video, I opened it up by saying like, hey, this is not a review sample. I bought this with my own money. I didn't ask for a discount or anything. I just bought it like any regular consumer would. And this guy comments, you don't deserve a discount. That was his entire comment. That's all he said. I'm just like, fuck this guy. I just like blocked him right away. I at no point did I say I deserve a discount or anything like that. I'm not the topic of the video, the product is. And sometimes like some people want to make me like the topic of the video. And sometimes that's awkward. And I don't really love that. Like I've said it before, I don't really love when people constantly ask me if I'm going to buy the product I'm reviewing. Like I review 50 or more products a year. I might buy one. And I don't buy the thing I love the most. I generally buy the product that has utility for my channel. So I do sometimes wish people kept the topic like to the product being reviewed, Don't get me wrong. Like if you know me in the Discord because like we talk a lot and you want to get personal, that's cool. That's different. But like when a stranger does it, sometimes it throws me off. So yeah, Victor, I got no problem helping you with that. I am more than happy to share my experience on either of those products, Taffy, I see my ATC SCM11 are now 3,500 CAD. Are they really? Let me go to a currency converter. Hold on. That's a lot of shekels. Holy crap. So 25, yeah, 2,550 US dollars. Yeah, they did go up in price. They are $2,500 here in the US as well now. They were, I want to say that was a speaker that was $19.99 at the time I reviewed it, but that's all the $2,000 speakers. All the $2,000 speakers are now $2,500, except the Bucart S400 Mark II, I think is like $2,200 with the exchange rate. I think the KEF R3 Meta is still $2,200. And I think the Fine Audio F500 SP is still a $19.99 speaker. So that's pretty cool. So one downside about drinking sparkling water, I get some burps I gotta hide on stream. And yeah, Taffy, the ATC SEM11 is a great speaker. If you're the kind of person that doesn't want a speaker to color the sound, you want absolute neutrality, but you don't want it to sound boring. You still want it to sound emotionally engaging somehow without being tonally colored. That is the magic. That is what's remarkable about the ATC SEM11. It is just so good at that. It is so good. Victor, one last question. It doesn't have to be your last question. I don't mind. When you say the DWX offers more detail than the method, would you say an extra 5% more detail or 10% or 20? Just curious. It's hard to quantify that, my bro, but it's like a noticeable difference. I'd say like, so just to be clear here, and Sean from Zero Fidelity talks about this sometimes. Most speakers actually have the same amount of detail if we're really being technical. What's different is how easy they are to hear. But if we like really listen critically, most speakers are conveying the same amount of information. Of course, we can get into like the mega revealing stuff like the Platamon, a Focal Canta, and other products like that that are actually going to show you more stuff. But most speakers do actually show the same amount of information. You just have to listen very critically to hear it. But it's kind of like a technicality. I'd say 15%. I'd say about 15%. The DWX, its detail is a little bit easier to hear. You don't have to listen as critically. Someone who appreciates detail will easily prefer the DWX over the method. The Zoom method is really for someone like me. I don't care about detail. I never listen to a song and go like, oh, this speaker should be showing me more information. It's just not how I am. I don't view high quality sound as that textbook definition of I'm hearing things I've never heard before. That is a fun experience and it is an impressive experience. And there's nothing wrong with someone who does consider that audiophile. That's okay. That's just not me. Right? So for the guys like me who are more looking for like tonality, sense of scale, unrestrained sound, an effortless nature, a sound that is just toe tapping and enjoyable. And we don't necessarily care that we're giving up some detail retrieval or we're giving up some bass power to get those things because we've got subwoofers. We have other pairs of hyper detailed speakers if we're in the mood for that, which people like me rarely are. I think most people know if they're detail customers. You know, like just to be clear, the method is not a dark speaker. It's not rolled off by any means. It's got good clarity, right? It's got good resolution, a fair amount even. But it's not going to be like, it's not going to satisfy a Focal customer, if that makes sense. Or someone who likes Dolly speakers or Bowers and Wilkins, right? And there's nothing wrong with being more impressed by what we may refer to more as the showroom sound. There's guys that buy speakers simply based on imaging capability and detail retrieval. And that's the wow showroom factor. If that's what you like, you should totally buy things that do that just exceedingly well. That's okay. John says he loves his DWX, but you have to want that sound. Yeah. Also, the DWX puts a little bit of a magnifying glass in that on that mid-range. There's like ever so slightly a rise in the mid-range. It's like mid-range dominant to some degree, and tonally more neutral. Whereas the method has some warmth. It has some tonal coloration, some tonal richness that I really like. Garrett says Arc Raiders looks awesome. Is that a game? Sounds like a game. That'd be a crazy name for a speaker. Let's look up Arc Raiders. What is that? Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a free to play. Nah, I'm not into that, bro. I'm not into those like free to play PvPs, PvEs, MMOs. I don't want to talk to another human being or experience other human beings while I'm playing video games. To me, video games are like taking a shower. That's a solo activity. I don't want to hear someone in a headset. I don't. Sorry, guys. I lost track where I was. John says, LOL, good on you. Yeah, yeah. Neil says, good to see you. I have a question. Maybe, do you know if the S3 stands are a good match for focal Canta number ones. I can't find any information about whether the screw mounting holes match. They probably don't. The screw mounting holes probably don't match, but you certainly could, measure the distance on your speakers and maybe email Kef and see what they have to say about it. Or you can maybe reach out to a Kef dealer who may have a set of stands there and ask them to measure those distances. I wouldn't be surprised if some stands just use like a Visa 100 by 100 pattern. But I also wouldn't be surprised if a lot of stands just had an arbitrary bolt pattern, and if you do put a dealer to work like that, I think it would be nice if you spent, if you bought the stands from that dealer, but I'll leave that up to you. Yeah, Neil says he doesn't like how the original Canta stands look. Yeah, look, bro, the Canta is a weird looking speaker. It's hyper stylized, and that's ultimately one of the reasons I sold it. I could never get it to look in a way I felt was aesthetically pleasing. I would go on to sell them to a buddy who had a cottage style home, and he ended up, I know this might sound crazy to some of you guys, placing them on top of a really nice rustic media console. And it looked fantastic in that space. To me, the Canta number one is a speaker that doesn't look good on any stand. That's just my opinion. But I'm sure you could try to make it work and find a solution you're happy with. Most people can. There's hundreds of thousands of stands out there in all kinds of different designs, and I think you'll find something you like. You know what? Like solid steel is kind of like an easy go-to. Bucart's broomstick stand, I don't know if they still make it, could be interesting. You got options, bro. You got options. Oh man, Kevin saying the R3 metas are 2,500 now. Is that true? They were 2,200 for so long. They were 1999 originally, but then let me check Crutchfield for example. Let's see here. Oh yeah, 24.99. Yeah, another one goes up to 2,500. That's just all of them are going to be 2,500 pretty soon here. I think it is what it is. Sorry, where did I leave off? Stay Brown, I missed his question. Stay Brown says, did anyone ask you how the methods sound on their sides? No one asked me that. I didn't really test that though. I loved them so much. I didn't care to try that kind of orientation. But I know James ABX, who his YouTube channel is ABX Audiophile. He's going to review them at some point, and I know he tested them that way. I know he loaned them to his buddy Kelly, who tested them that way. So if you don't follow ABX Audiophile, you might want to sub so that when his Zoom method review comes out, you can ask him about that. And I'm sure he'll mention that too. Sean B says, what DAC are you using in your main rig right now? And since I connected it, the one I'm absolutely in love with, believe it or not, is that $990 one from Live, the Micro DAC. I have the Harmony here. That's a review sample. I held on to it because I was going to review their entire system at some point, which is coming to a head soon. So we agreed I'd send everything back all at once, right? It's like $2,700. I have an Aries 12-1. I have my original Aries 2 and the Live Micro DAC. The one that is, again, like $995 is my favorite. Yes, the $2,700 full-size Harmony is much more revealing, much more detailed, much more audiophile, if you will. But the Micro DAC brings enough of that to the table with a sound that's a little bit smoother, and which, again, building off what I said earlier, I am not the ultra detail first customer by any means. I like a treble region that is very easier on the ears. I prefer a little bit of smoothness. I don't mind if a speaker is even a little bit dark. The Micro DAC is not dark by any means, and it actually has quite good detail retrieval space and expansiveness. It's just a little smoother, and I freaking love it. I love it. That's what I'm using, and I I will not take it out of my system until Live tells me I have to send it back. And then at that point, I'll have to decide if I'm going to buy it or not, you know? Piper Boy Williams, why don't you review Power Sound audio subs? Simple, bro. It's a really simple reason, actually. They don't send review samples. That's just all it comes down to. Shane Lee, from his YouTube channel, formerly known as Spare Change. We're buddies. We're on good talking terms. We like each other. He's a cool guy. I remember talking to him about that a couple years ago when he reviewed a Power Sound audio, and he was like kind of bummed. And I'm like, what's up? Why are you bummed? Is the sub not good? He's like, no, the sub's cool. He's like, I just had to freaking buy it to review it, man. He's like, I reached out to them and they said, no, we don't really do that. And Shane has 100,000 subscribers. So if they said no to him, they're going to say no to me. My guess is that Power Sound Audio is probably selling as many subwoofers as they can make, and they just don't need reviews. They're at maximum throughput. They cannot manufacture a single unit more, and every single unit they manufacture gets sold very easily. So, because a review is marketing at the end of the day, and it doesn't make sense for them to spend $500 in shipping. You know, a couple $100 to send it, a couple $100 to get it back. Their subs are big; they need to go on a pallet. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense for them to spend that money, deal with the YouTuber, some back and forth. You know what I mean? Some YouTubers might, want a discount on a purchase. Some YouTubers might want to keep it, as payment for the video. Some YouTubers might want money. Some YouTubers might not want anything. I don't know. Some YouTubers might want an affiliate link. And they're just like, why would we deal with this if our products sell like hotcakes? So I kind of get it, Danny Mars says, yo, Nemo. Greetings from the Netherlands, sub lover Discord. Hey, what's up, sub lover? He's saying what's up to Richard. Danny's in the Discord. His name's sub lover. Garrett says, yep, new game, should check it out. Nah, bro, I don't like PvP, PvE. I'm not into that kind of, like, I don't like online games of any kind. I don't play online. John says, do you have a take on Harman acquisition? Good, bad, indifferent? Super indifferent. Super indifferent. I don't give a shit at all. Like, it's not like I'm trying to be like some tough guy or like, oh, I'm such a nihilist. And it's just like my gut reaction. Like, I had a few people call me, and like I was like on like one of them I was like pretty close with. It was like one of my buddies. I'll be honest, it was Sean from Zero Fidelity. He was talking to me about it, and I was like, hey, like, honest question, like, why are we talking about this? Like, why does this matter? And, he gave me his take on why it matters. He's like, well, bro, like these brands are like, some of these are legacy brands. They've been around for a while. This is a big acquisition, and it mattered to him. He had a take on it. But I guess maybe I'm just like not brand loyal, or maybe it's just that I don't have any interest in those brands, or perhaps it's because they weren't a part of my like childhood or teenage years. I never owned any of their gear growing up. But then again, I owned Serwin Vega, and when Serwin Vega got sold, I didn't care. I just, maybe that's like me being like too logical. Like, I'm somewhat of a business consultant by day. So I just look at it like, it's just how the world is. Like, big companies eat up small companies. It's just what happens. Sometimes they ruin them. Sometimes they make them better. I mean, Volkswagen Group bought Lamborghini a long time ago, and that was a great thing for Lamborghini. Oh my goodness. Lamborghini would never be the car brand it is today if Volkswagen Group hadn't bought it. Oh my goodness. Their cars have just only experienced upgrades over the years. But yeah, of course, sometimes a big company buys a small brand and just runs it into the ground. That happens too. But I don't have a take on it, no. Adam Webster, just a hello from the UK. Fun fact, Adam, I was born in the UK. I was born in London. I lived in an apartment building called Trillick Towers, and that's about all I remember. And one time I told a guy in the elevator that, and he said, you're kidding me. I live in Trillick Towers right now. And I was like, that's crazy that it's still there. Apparently it's pretty run down now and very ghetto, but he said, keep up the amazing work. Smash that like button. Yeah, guys, please hit the like button if you're in here. Hitting the like button tells YouTube that more of my subscribers want to see this video. Like, don't assume just because people are subscribed to my channel, YouTube will show them. I'm live streaming right now. It only shows a small percentage of you guys that this live stream is happening. And when more people hit the like button, the YouTube algorithm goes, oh, the small portion of his audience that I've shown this video to is liking it. Let me share it with more of his subscribers. It's kind of crazy. That's why sometimes you guys probably wonder, like, how come I only see some of your streams and like not the others? It's just because that's just how YouTube functions, unfortunately. But let's see where are we at. 21 likes. We got 60 people in here. I think we can make that number better. We could at least match it, right? You know? And if you're watching on your TV, you can like from your TV too. A lot of people don't know that. It's just, you just click up, go to the right, and you'll see it in the settings. Sean B says, there is a subset of audio files that are audio voyeurs. That sounds interesting. What do you mean by that? They get off on hearing things in the mix that they think are not supposed to be to hear. Yeah, no, that's true. And there are things in the mix you're not supposed to hear. I consider that beyond artist intent. And it's okay if that's how you get your rocks off. It is totally okay if you want to hear like the saliva in the singer's mouth or that inhale between a note that, you know, most speakers are not going to show. If you're into that, by all means, get those hyper detailed speakers. That's okay. I used to like that. I don't anymore. Daryl says 2,500 for what? We were talking about all the $2,000 speakers being $2,500 now, Daryl. Yeah, we were talking about how like the KEF R3 Meta used to be like a $2,000 speaker. Now it's $2,500. The ATC SCM11 used to be $2,000. Now it's $2,500. You know, most of the $2,000 speakers are unfortunately $2,500 now. Yeah. Thank you, Victor. He says, I think you should get a discount on most speakers you review. Zoo is about to sell a speaker because I value your opinion and you bring products to people's attention. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate that. And for the record, I agree with that. I think there's nothing wrong with reviewers getting a discount if they want to buy the product they reviewed, especially if they're willing to just buy the review sample in its current condition that may have been around the block, is technically an open box now. It's already like in your care. It doesn't have to be shipped again. I think there is absolutely nothing wrong with compensating people for their time in one way or another, whether it be an affiliate link, or even letting them keep the product entirely, honestly, or giving them like a agreed upon monetary value. My channel's not monetized. I have a full-time career by day, but everyone's got to put money on the table somehow. You know what I mean? And all those ways one can monetize their channel, we can criticize. We can, but we just have to believe that the person we are watching is someone that we view as trustworthy, right? Like, I'm sure there's people that are like, oh, affiliate links are shady. I'd rather just agreed upon a flat rate for my work. Say, you know, let's just keep it simple, $200 per video or something, right? Someone else might be like, oh my God, no, taking money like that is terrible. The affiliate link is the right way to go, because with the affiliate link, it's up to the audience. It's up to the audience, and it's a win-win situation. And other people might be like, no, the affiliate link covers it colors your impressions because you're trying to sell units. Other people might say, no, keeping the product is wrong. And yeah, everyone's got an opinion on this stuff, but I think as long as a person's trustworthy, I don't care how they make their money. Mr. Muskie says, have you heard Canton speakers? I haven't, brother. They're not very popular in the US. They're just not. And it is a little bit difficult to get review samples from the British companies. I don't know if Canton's British. I know they're more popular in England, but it is difficult. Like, I tried to get a review sample from BK. The minute I told them I was a reviewer, they stopped responding. Richard says, what's up, Danny Mars? All good over there in the Netherlands. Okay, he's talking to someone else. Hold on. I need a beverage. Stay Brown is asking if I ever reviewed the Hagel H390. No, I haven't. No. You guys can check to see if I've reviewed something. You can go to my channel, click videos, and you can see all my videos. You can even search within my channel on YouTube. It's easier to do from a computer. Piper Boy says Shane Lee dogged the brand because they didn't give him a review unit. He lied. No, he didn't. He didn't lie. He definitely didn't lie. I could tell you that right now. He was a little salty. I don't think too much of that came through on the video at all. I talked to him well before that review happened. And Piper Boy, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just giving you like some insider information. So this is what was happening. He had a pair of Rhythmic F18s and he was running them in low damping. And I don't know if I don't think he was running the subsonic filter because he was trying to get that Edge of Tomorrow intro that's like 8-9 hertz. And one of his F18s bottomed out, which like even an 18-inch sub will bottom out if you try to run 8-9 hertz through it. Like that's going to happen. And he was like, okay, maybe I need a bigger sub. So he got the 21-inch and it also bottomed out. So he was like kind of bummed. I told him he was being unreasonable. You know, I was like, hey, bro, you're trying to run a sine wave through these subwoofers. Like, there's a reason these products have these fucking subsonic limiters and shit. And I think he ended up going with like those crazy Perlison stuff that's like super expensive. I think the Perlisons he has now are like $6,000 or $7,000 a piece. And those can do it at the volume level he wants. Now, just to be clear, those Rhythmic F18s, that 21-inch PSA, they can do the Edge of Tomorrow intro, just not quite as loud as Shane wanted it to be. And that I will admit, that is him being very extreme, very extreme. He absolutely is hunting that last 10% of insane bass performance that is arguably not even sound. It's just a sine wave. But the 21-inch did bottom out. The voice coil did slap. I saw it. Like us reviewers sometimes like we'll like share little videos of stuff like that with each other. Like that did happen. He absolutely didn't lie. The only fair criticism of that I would hear from anyone is that he was just being an extremist. And playing a sine wave at 8 hertz is not maybe a fair way to assess a subwoofer's performance. But that's how the theater guys are crazy. They're absolutely insane. Like everyone I know that owns a pair of Rhythmic F18s are like, oh my God, this is more than I would ever need. And I love them. And they're only using like half the limits. But someone like Shane was able to like find the limits of a pair of 18-inch subs in a fairly small room. Like Shane is an extreme home theater enthusiast. Like he's a great guy to follow if you are like, I don't want my movie theater to sound like a commercial theater. I want it to sound better. Shane Lee is the guy you follow because that's how he is. He's extreme with how much low end single digit extension he wants. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And I honestly, I expect anyone who watches his reviews to kind of already know that about him. I don't think that side of his personality is me shedding any new light. He has always been like that. Guys, we're talking about someone that didn't, he had a PB16 Ultra for a while. Like Shane Lee has been an extremist of single digit extension for a long time. But no, Piper Boy, he didn't lie. It really did bottom out. It did. And most subs would. 99.9% of subwoofers will bottom out when you play the Edge of Tomorrow intro. I don't care how expensive or good they are. Very few subwoofers can handle that. In my opinion, playing the Edge of Tomorrow at reference volumes through a subwoofer is not a test. I consider it subwoofer abuse personally. Richard McCoy says the audio is fine on my end. Thank you. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Maybe your comment came in late. I know I asked at the beginning of the video. Danny's talking to Richard. Taffy says, why does Hagel put power button underneath? I don't buy their integrated amps because of that. What's wrong with that? I guess I'd answer your question with a question. I know what you're referring to because I have a H190 right there. I know what you mean. Yeah. I always thought that was kind of cool. You don't have to like reach behind the unit. I don't have a problem with that. Why is that? Yeah, why does that bother you? I figured that was Taffy. I figured that was one of those things I thought everyone would appreciate. I'd be really curious to hear why you don't like that, Serge, what's up, Serge? Serge says, yo, what it do? Just got to say, Holo audio is absolute gold in my system. I have the Serene KTE preamp and may KTE upgrade from the Emotiva XSP1 Gen 2, which served me well. Yeah, I've never heard hollow audio. I know a lot of people love it. I'm not a big like DAC hunter, but I know people love the hollow audio stuff, and it looks great too. I love their styling. Danny Marr says, I love this channel. I'm going to have some sleep, boys. Hey, take care, Danny. Thank you for hopping in. I appreciate you. Richard and Danny are talking. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to review the Perlison R8. Perlison subs are just too big and heavy for your boy to review, guys. Like, I really try not to review subwoofers like over 100 pounds. Even like 80, 90 pounds, man. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot getting these things back in the box. It really is. I got to get it back in my car. I got to ship it back. Like, guys, I do this all for free. Like, I really do this all for free. My YouTube channel generates like a few $100s a month in ad revenue. Like, it depends, like anywhere from $300 to like maybe $500. That like covers the gas for my car. Like, that's it. I do this for free. You know what I mean? So like, I don't want to review a 100-pound subwoofer. It sucks. It's not fun. It's just not. If you don't believe me, go to the gym and pick up a 100-pound dumbbell. And imagine having to be careful with it because it's $4,000 or $5,000. It's not enjoyable at all. Oh my God. Svalbard says, Streamo, I'm late. Did I miss today's beverage reveal? You did, yeah. We got the LaCroix, the guava. The pastique's been just sold out at my local store for like 3 or 4 months. I don't know what's going on. They might have discontinued it. I might have to start ordering it from Amazon. That's my favorite and I miss it. But yeah, we're out here. We're representing. We're still looking for the LaCroix sponsorship. Guys, if anyone knows someone who works at LaCroix, just like a free 12-pack a month would be cool. You know, we don't need a lot. Nemo Propaganda is not a picky influencer. I'll say anything about this. I'll make any claim they want me to make if they give me some free ones. I'll get on camera and I'll make a video talking about how, guys, I put a can of LaCroix on top of my speaker. It opened up the imaging. You know, the sound stage has never sounded better. Man, this can is the best audiophile upgrade. I'll do that. That'd be so funny. And you know what's ironic about that is some people, I don't know if ironic is the right word, but I know some people would think I'm being honest. Like some people would believe me and think I'm like trying to shill and wouldn't realize it's just a joke. Let me check the time, guys. I got to go to a barbecue with my friends in about 15 minutes. So if you got questions, holler. I'm going to try to keep it brief for the rest of these. Sean Beeves said if people go to their channel notifications, they can select all the default setting after you subscribe is personalized, and that's the setting where the algorithm does its thing. Yeah, I know, Sean, just most people are not going to, ask to be notified of everything. They're just not. Sam says Canton is German. Okay, yeah. I mean, fair enough. I mean, I guess what I should have said is the European brands in general. The European brands that tend to stick to Europe and aren't very popular in the U.S. are a little bit difficult to work with, because my guess is because they don't have a big dealer network in the US, they may not see the value in a US based reviewer reviewing it, which doesn't really make sense to me because my videos are not limited to United States only, right? These videos go international, right? So I don't know. Jorgen Eriksson says thoughts on name. I've only heard their like statement monoblocks, Jorgen. I haven't, the ones that are like $500,000 or something. I've never really like reviewed anything from them. They use the same distribution as Focal, and I'm not good enough for them. If I had to guess, I'd imagine my video quality is not up to their standard. I've tried to get review samples from Focal a few times. It doesn't work. Serge says he has a pair of Rhythmic E15 HP2s. He loves them. They will do anything for you when it comes to music. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a lot of subwoofer. They'll do anything you want for theater too, for most people. For most people, it's a very small group of audiophiles that wants the craziest bass performance in a movie. A pair of 15s in a home theater is a great setup. That should be remarkable. That would be more bass than I would ever need personally, but that's just me. Bill Bloomfield, ahoy there. Do you mostly stream your music? Yes, I do. If you stream, can you share which service? I use Tidal. I just started reading Mood Machine by Liz Pelly. Started reading, I don't know what that, a book about Spotify. Oh, cool, cool. I read a lot of books, but mostly science fiction. I'm putting down like 20 science fiction books a year, guys. Current favorite is the Expeditionary Force series. Absolutely phenomenal. This year I also finished Ball Lightning by Xijin Liu. Not his best work, if I'm being completely honest, though. Ashesh Chand says, hi Nemo, sonic differences between live micro DAC and Aries 12th. Great question. Great question that will be addressed in the review. And I don't mind giving you all the information here early because that's a great question. So I love the Aries. The Aries in any version was my go-to DAC for many years. I have the 2 and the 12th, and they're nearly identical. The 12th is just a smidgen, 3 or 4% more detailed in the high frequencies. Slightly, again, 2, 3, maybe 4% tighter bass. The two are really similar though, right? So here's the difference, and you're gonna see why I love the micro DAC so much. The micro DAC gives me the tonal richness of the Aries that I love so much. It has the little bit of smoothness the Aries bring to the presentation that I love so much. Basically, everything the Aries does that I love, the micro DAC also does. What's different? The micro DAC has a lot more air and space between all the notes. A lot more separation. It's a lot more of a high-end experience overall, but it does so without leaning into the analytical territory or the sterile territory. Live has done a fantastic job at improving upon those shortcomings of the Aries platform, because the Aries DAC has never been the most resolving. It's never had the best separation. Anytime someone reviewed it, what they always talked about was just it sounded good. It was emotionally engaging. You know what I mean? But the detail customer is never going to appreciate the Aries. I know many people that return the Aries because it didn't give them the micro details they wanted. The live micro DAC greatly improves upon that. It's not as hyper detailed as the most detailed DACs, but it is a pretty serious upgrade. When I go, because I have switched from the micro DAC back to the Aries sounds smaller, the staging is smaller, everything's more condensed. That lack of separation becomes very, very obvious. If you're in the market for a sub $1,000 DAC at this point, I don't see a reason to buy the Aries over the micro DAC. That's just my opinion. I suppose there might be one reason. If you're, for some reason, you don't like a lot of air and space, which I mean, I think that's something all audiophiles like, but if for some reason you don't, you like a tighter, more intimate sound, then maybe some people will like the Aries. But I think in a head-to-head, I wouldn't be surprised if something like 95% of people preferred the micro DAC. And it makes sense. The Aries has been in the market for a very long time. If I was a betting man, I'd be willing to bet beating the Aries was one of the benchmarks Live probably had when they designed it. Because think about it. There's no way Live, that's distributed through Vinshine Audio the same way Denafrips was, it is going to make a $1,000 DAC that isn't better than the one they used to sell. There's no way. It has to be better. It has to be. Yeah. Ashesh, if you're between the two, absolutely. And even I'd go ahead and say if you're an Aries current customer looking for an upgrade, it is enough of a difference actually in this situation where I would say, by all means, if you want to sell your Aries and get the live micro DAC, I think that's a fine upgrade. Dave Yorkovic says, hey, Nemo, thanks for the content. Yeah, of course, man. Mike S., what's on the menu when you say barbecue? Oh, we keep it simple, bro. Me and my friend group, there's a lot of us. I have a big friend group. There's like probably 15 of us, and there's like 8 babies, like between like 1 and 2 years old. So hamburgers and hot dogs usually. Before there was kids, we used to do like a lot of steaks, ribeyes, some Wagyu from time to time. You know what I mean? But it's just with all the kids, it's always best to keep things simple now, simple and easy. If the kids are happy, we're happy, basically, you know. Because if one of the kids isn't happy, man, he's gonna start crying. You know, those 1 or 2 year olds. You know. Did I miss anything? Let me see here. John says, I just joined, but aluminum cans are too bright. Solo cups are more base heavy, more my style. Yeah, yeah. Ted K. So, hello, my friend. Hey, Ted. Always nice to see you. TKYR, dude, shout out for reviewing the Pathos gear. No one reviews this stuff. I am interested in. Kudos. Oh, yeah. No, bro, TK. I love Pathos. Pathos makes some of the best sounding amps and at a somewhat reasonable price. Great, great, great stuff. Sean B, do you have a Hawaiian shirt for the barbecue? No, I'm just gonna wear like one of these shirts, but like a sand colored one probably. I'm not a big Hawaiian shirt guy unless I'm boating. Svalbard says if you're going to have LaCroix as a sponsorship deal and show improvement in audio quality because of it, you got to say it's an exotic crossover component like a LaCroix cap. That would be pretty funny. Yeah. Victor says, not only will some people think you are a shill for the audiophile water cans, but some would spend thousands to buy it too. Audio shows tell me that much. Yeah, possibly. But you know what? I don't believe there's as much snake oil in the industry as people think there is. I think there's stuff that is priced odd, you know, but I don't think there's as much snake oil. There is snake oil, but not that much. Ted K says, I just got Magnum Pen LRS Plus. I don't think I'll ever go back to box speakers. Amazing. Yeah, look, dude, if you like that type of sound, nothing does it like Magnum Pen. They are fantastic. I hope to be able to review something by them at some point. Jorgensen says, since you are a fan of low power listening, I don't know if I'm a fan of low power listening necessarily. Name Unity Atom blew my mind in that regard. No, I'm not a fan of low volume listening generally. You guys are. That's why I always talk about it. I'm not out here listening at 65 dB. That's crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. I don't understand it at all. Just so many of you guys do, and I'm asked about it so much. I try to always point it out. I didn't know that was a valuable metric for you guys until people started asking me about it. I'm generally listening, 77 to 85 dB, that's kind of where I'm at. I like right around 80, which isn't crazy loud, but that's on the louder side, in my opinion. Zwembroic, can you recommend a speaker for a 27 watt triode tube amp? Yeah, Fritz Carbon 7 Mark II Special Edition. They're $2,800. And does a R2R DAC like the UDAC improve the sound of a tube amp? Yeah, a good DAC will improve the sound regardless of topology. Especially, look, like if you get a tube amp like the Brunoco that already has crazy separation, you may not feel you need more, but even with a tube amp like that, because the Brunoco Terra has crazy airspace and separation, it's so good. You add the live DAC to it, and it still gives it even more. It's insane. So yeah, it will still be an upgrade. It's how much do you want? Most tube amps don't have, especially at that price, don't have the airspace and separation that the Brunoco has. But yeah, absolutely. And there's other speakers I can recommend too. I just don't know what your price point is. You know what I mean? The Zoo Method, if that Fritz Carbon is too expensive, the Zoo Method, 94 dB efficient, that's going to be great. If you wanted to like a higher end pick, there's the Platamon. I think that's 91 dB sensitive. John Descent says your description make the micro DAC sound appealing. It's a good DAC. It is a good DAC. Wildstar says, would be interested to hear your take on the micro DAC versus the built-in Hagel H1. Come on, bro. There's no built-in DAC that really comes close, at least that I've experienced to, these like really top performing DACs. The micro DAC is like really good. It is really good. I think the only reason it's not more expensive is because the Aries exists. And if it was priced at $1,500, I think most people would buy an Aries instead. So instead, they priced it slightly under the current 15th one. But I think a fair price for that micro DAC would be $1,500 in a vacuum. Yeah, the Hagel H190 internal DAC is just fine. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. But like it's not competing with like $1,000 standalone. It's just not. Shen says, thanks for answering the questions. No problem. John says, upgrade wasn't on this year's calendar, Nemo. Don't do it then, bro. Don't. Save your money. Save your money. Don't cave to the FOMO. There's nothing wrong with being financially disciplined, guys. Be financially disciplined. I strongly support good financial discipline. If you're trying to save money, save that money. Let that paper stack. You know what I mean? You don't have to buy something just because you like it. Guys, as a reviewer, the bulk of the gear I send back, I like. I can't buy everything I like. No one can. No one can. And we don't always have to upgrade. Most of us have great systems already. Has anyone, who's this GC Soundscape, has anyone asked in the chat about the Brunoco tube amp? Dang, Nemo, you really got me interested in that one. No, I mean, I just mentioned it when Zwembroic asked about a 27 watt amp being paired with the R2R DAC. I mentioned the Brunoco. Brunoco's great. Brunoco's, I mean, if you're someone who wants that tube signature, that like richness and harmonics that only tubes bring to the table, but you're like, I want the air and spaciousness and separation of a higher end, like $5,000 class AB solid state. The Brunoco Terra 6L6 is very special in that regard. And the case work is just, oh my goodness. Ooh, sorry. It is amazing. It is amazing. Fletcher, what's up, Fletcher? A couple of bricks of Philadelphia cream cheese cooked with a can of Hormel beanies, chili, and a big scoop of Fritos. You will be a hit at the cookout. Bro, Fletcher, that sounds like if I make that, I think I'm going to pay the price the next morning, if you catch my drift. Jorgensen says, oh, okay, my bad. I'm 75 to 82. Yeah, no problem, bro. It's a common misconception because I talk about it a lot. But again, the only reason I talk about low volume playback is because so many of the audience seem to value it. Bill Bloomfield says, yes, let that paper stack. 100%. You got to have my guys. You should not buy something if you can't afford to buy it 5 times cash. I'm not talking about cars and houses. I'm talking about hobbies. If you have a hobby, if you want to buy a $2,000 speaker, yes, I'm saying you should have $10,000 set aside. That's my belief of financial literacy, financial responsibility, and it does take good mental fortitude, but that is what I believe. You don't have to live the way I live or do what I do. But if anyone wanted financial advice, yes, I personally believe if you're in the market for a $1,000 DAC, I'm assuming you have $5,000 set aside at minimum. And I know that's a bit extreme. Most people follow the 3 times rule. I follow a 5 times rule personally. I think it's very important to secure your future, your retirement. Maybe you have children. You should always be in the strongest financial position possible. You never know, man. Like my uncle lives in Burbank. Eggs are $20 in his city. My uncle follows the 5X rule. Those eggs are not a problem for him. It doesn't stress him out because he has secured his financial future, and guys, you can secure your financial future regardless of how much money you make. I promise you. Like, life is long. Even, saving $5, $10 here or there, like, it adds up. Actually, Victor, I have a lot of color in my closet. I just wear the same thing on camera because it's easy. Serge says, brother, I'm in the upgrade phase, looking to get out of my Emotiva DR1 monos. Like them, but looking for more refinement. Needs to be monoblock, and I'll be willing to pay up to $6K for the pair. So your first logical upgrade is going to be the Kinky Studio monoblocks. Your next upgrade from there is going to be the live monoblocks. Yes, the live monoblocks are an upgrade over the Kinky Studio for sure in all areas. Yeah, look at the live monoblocks. I haven't reviewed them yet. I believe Sound News has reviewed them already, and they are fantastic. Oh my God. Oh my God. A little bit warm in the mids, just a little bit. Really good with detail, really good with bass control, plenty of headroom. Such a good sound. Such a good sound. Of course, that air space and separation that live is known for. That's a great monoblock. I also love the Kinky Studio monoblocks. I own those. Those are the ones I run. But the live monoblocks are without a doubt an upgrade over the Kinky Studio ones. Both are in your price category. Both are absolutely an upgrade over your current Emotiva DR ones. Yeah, I suggest you consider those two. All right, guys, like 2 minutes and I'm out of here. I got to get to this barbecue. Let me get through the comments. If you got a burning desire, a question you're dying to ask it now. If it doesn't come in the next 30 seconds, I'm not answering it. Serge says he's pairing it with a Rebel F22.8 BE. Any advice is appreciated. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, look, you already have an analytical amp and analytical speakers, so I think you like the analytical sound. The Kinky Studio monoblocks, I've said this a few times before. I try not to say it because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Kinky Studio and Emotiva are voiced nearly identically. If you love the Emotiva sound and want a high-end version of it, that's Kinky Studio, actually. A lot more refinement, but similar tonal character. Kinky Studio is a little bit cool in the mid-range, like Kinky Studio. It's a very detailed presentation. It's slightly analytical. That's Emotiva and Kinky Studio. The live adds a little bit of warmth, a little bit of tonal richness, and that's why I like it so much. Yeah, you clearly like an analytical sound. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, my recommendation stands. Kinky Studio monoblocks, Surge, or the new live monoblocks, which are an upgrade over the Kinky Studio ones. Stars is saying, what's your take on room treatment, Nemo? It's been getting a lot of attention on YouTube lately. I know I saw Andrew made a video about it. It was a good video. Most people say it really levels up your system. Do you think it's actually worth the trouble? Yes, it is great. Andrew made some great points. You can't just like shove it wherever you want. But depending on the room, some rooms it's going to be night and day. Absolutely night and day. Some rooms, it may not be a night and day difference. My room, it was a huge difference. I think at minimum, anyone will benefit from having absorption at the first reflection points, bare minimum, in nearly every room I've ever been in. If you can get absorption at the first reflection points, your imaging will be phenomenal regardless what speakers you're using. You could be using $100 speakers and you'll have imaging like $2,000 speakers. It's insane the upgrade it does. And it doesn't have to be like a big giant panel. Companies like GIK, you can send them an art file and they'll make what looks like a picture frame, like a nice, beautiful picture for you to hang on your wall, like you bought from an art gallery, but it's room acoustics, it's absorption. So there's ways to do it and make it look great. I'm a big fan of room acoustics. I have giant bass traps from floor to ceiling behind the listening position. I have absorption at the first reflection points as well as on the main wall. All those black tiles you see, like my whole black background, most of that's room acoustics of some kind. All right, I really do got to get out of here. I'm going to try to jam through the rest of these. I talk too much sometimes. I'm sorry, guys. Stars, sometimes filling the room with furniture could be good enough. I understand not everyone wants room acoustics everywhere. I get that. So like, everyone's challenge is to find the compromise they're happy with. Yes, a fluffy couch that is very absorption can absorb a lot is going to serve as a pseudo bass trap. Yes, a rug will help with slap echo. You certainly can do it with furniture. Is it going to give you the same result? Maybe not. Depends on the room. Depends what you do. Will it be better than nothing? Yes, something is better than nothing. What is your watching system behind you? LG 77-inch OLED. I think it's a C1, Hagel H190, Supermon mini speakers, Kev Casey 62 behind the couch. Yeah, I'm an OLED only guy at this point. Star says 100% get into room treatment. It totally changed my system. Room is a part of your system chain. Got to be well placed. 100% agree. Fletcher Munson, I recently got FOT, fear of tariffs, and got two excellent sets of speakers. Nice, nice. Bill Bloomfield says, hit the grill. Cheers. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. John's talking to someone else. Louis says, thank you. John says, GIK is great to deal with. Yeah, they're cool. They have great weekend, fun live stream. Taffy says OLED has burn-in issues. It doesn't. I play video games on that thing, and I leave it on the pause menu while I cook food, and then I forget about it for like an hour or more all the time. All the time. The OLED burn-in myth for TVs and monitors, like there's an OLED monitor in front of me I'm using. Most people's phones are OLED. The TVs I have in all my rooms are OLED, including the one in the listening room where you see I have images on it behind me while I'm filming, where I leave it on for like hours at a time. I've never experienced burn-in at all. I know some people still get burn-in on like smaller consumer electronics, you know, like the Hagel display is OLED. I keep it off though. I'd imagine, yeah, if you left that on like forever, that might burn in. My Hagel H190 hasn't burned in, but OLED TVs don't have burn-in issues, brother. That's a myth, and I strongly suggest you don't let that myth hold you back from having what is easily the best picture quality I've ever seen in my life. And with that, this stream is a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Your boy Nemo Propaganda is going to go barbecue with his bros, with the little kids and stuff like that. James, the Taihang power conditioner, Vinshine just asked for it back. I have to decide this weekend, actually. I have to decide this weekend, and I'm stressing out because I want to keep it, but $2,000 is $2,000. And I talked all that good shit about financial responsibility just now. I do have to apply that to myself, right? Anyway, yeah, no problem, Taffy. I wasn't trying to be like argumentative or nothing like that. Just don't let the fear of burn-in hold you back from having a great TV. Buy the extended warranty if you need to feel better, but OLED is just fantastic. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I always appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure doing these streams. Be safe this Memorial Day weekend, y'all. Take care.